All right, so 2.1 notes, variables and data. Our goal is to be able to classify data by type as qualitative or quantitative, discrete or continuous by the end of this lesson. And within variables and data, a characteristic that varies from one person or thing to another is called a variable. So that is distinct from what we formerly have known as a variable, which in algebra, right, a letter that represents a number. So we'll kind of add to that meaning in statistics. Number one, I color, homeschool, and favorite animal at the zoo are examples of qualitative data, or variables, qualitative. And then height, weight, and number of siblings are examples of quantitative. Good. Now we can further distinguish quantitative variables into two different categories. A blank variable is a variable whose possible values can be listed even though the list may continue blank. So that would be a discrete variable. Is a variable whose possible values can be listed even though the list may continue indefinitely. It typically involves a count of something. So if you can count it, it's discrete. For example, the students in a CP stats class. We can count the number of people in our CP stats class. The number of siblings a person has, you can count, or the number of animals at the zoo. So the other type of quantitative variable is a continuous variable, and it's a variable whose possible values form some interval of numbers. So it typically involves measuring. Measuring of something. So that could be the height of a person is the measurement, the weight of a newborn baby, or the length of time a cell phone battery lasts. So you have height, you have weight, you have time. Those are pretty much your typical continuous variables. You can imagine, like if you look at a meter stick, something like this, and you have between 1 and 2 inches, you have half inch, quarter inch, eighth of an inch. There's science behind even finding the smallest particle possible, so that continues indefinitely. In between two numbers that you could count. People, you got 1 or you got 2, you don't have 1.5 people. So that's discrete. Here's a little flow chart to help organize those terms visually. At the top we have variables. And then the two main categories of variables are,
Quantitative and qualitative.
that's right, which one goes over here?
Qualitative.
That's right. If it's qualitative, it's just qualitative. If it's quantitative, you have that breakdown into subcategories. It can be either discrete or continuous. Last two terms. Observations and data. So each individual piece of data is called an observation. So that data piece that Elon Musk makes $255 billion, that is one observation. That Bezos makes $177 billion, that's another observation. Each individual data point is considered an observation. And the collection of a particular variable is called a data set. So I'm going to have you all talk with the person sitting next to you about each one of these examples. So 1 through 3, qualitative, discrete quantitative, or continuous quantitative. Earthquakes, then, you see the chart and then you see the different breakdown. Time is pretty obvious. Magnitude, so if you have heard of the Richter scale, it's just basically the impact of that earthquake. Depth is pretty self-explanatory. NST is the number of stations reporting, so the number of stations that reported that Richter scale magnitude. So this is the number of stations reporting. And lastly is the region where those earthquakes occurred. Take a minute, talk to the person sitting next to you, and try and fill in 1 through 3. You can talk to the person sitting next to you. One question you can ask yourself is it a count? Is it a measure? If it's a count, it's discrete. If it's a measure, it's continuous.
Is magnitude measured?
It's a measure. Like, I was like, what is going on?
I'm sorry, Ms. Ryan, before you start, is it okay to use the restroom?
Yes, don't forget to scan it. Height of the world's highest waterfalls. Mary.
I put continuous quantitative
Excellent. Why did you put continuous?
because it's measuring something.
Exactly, it's a measurement. Carly, number of people listed per household for a variety of types of housing options.
Discrete quantitative,
Excellent. Why did you put discrete?
because it is a count.
It's a count, perfect. Blood types.
I said qualitative.
Qualitative, perfect. And earthquakes time, Seth? Continuous. Magnitude, Tim?
I put continuous quantitative.
It is continuous once again. Depth, okay? Oh, that's okay. Alexa? Continuous. Why'd you put continuous? It's a measure of something, right? NST, so the number of stations reporting. Kamari?
Oh, we're on the, oh.
D.
Discrete, sorry.
Discrete, you got it. You can count those stations. Discrete, quantitative. Carly, region.
Qualitative.
Excellent, qualitative. So that concludes our notes. As we went, as we took a little bit more time, I feel like more and more people were starting to catch up with this goal for today to classify data by type, as qualitative or quantitative, and the discrete versus continuous. More practice, and Math Excel 2.1, you can go ahead and get started.